Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and Giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Leeser, your host for all things Giallo here on The King of Giallo, and this is another unscripted talking head movie review. This is the fourth of 5 films I've tried to knock out in this weekend, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the 5th one just because I still have some other editing to do, and I'm kind of getting a little burnt out. I'm getting a little Giallo fatigue from just forcing myself to watch so many movies all at once. But I will say that this is one of the more enjoyable ones that I watched for the first time. The other ones so I rewatched Your Vice as a locked room and only I have the key. I've seen it a few times. I watched for the first time then Murder Mansion, and then I watched The Red-Headed Corpse, and now I just watched Crimes of the Black Cat. And so it's interesting to have 2 movies in this recent viewing session I did that both feature black cats. This and Your Vice. But yeah, so anyways, let me just stick to the Crimes of the Black Cat. This is directed by Sergio Pastore, who also co-wrote it along with Sandro Continenza and Giovanni Simonelli. It stars Anthony Steffen from The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, and I actually am very pleased with his performance in this because I think he's overacting. I think he is chewing the scenery in The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. And as much as I have qualms with that movie, I do recognize it as being either very inspirational for other Giallo films or at least just kind of doing something first. There's a lot of these other movies that I'll watch that a lot of them I'll compare to. It's kind of like The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave mixed with this or whatever. But so yeah, I'll give it its alms. I'll give it its due. But Crimes of the Black Cat, this is very interesting. I really enjoyed this one, and this is one that I may have to get a good release of this and do a jolly tally for it. This and Amok were the 2 that have stood out to me as I might actually have to go back and give these ones a longer video. The IMDb plot synopsis, which I think is pretty good for this movie, it's actually accurate, is a blind pianist overhears a conversation in a nightclub and is determined to figure out who is responsible for a string of strange murders involving a black cat. This is, I would say, very similar to The Black Belly of the Tarantula in terms of both of these films feel very much like they are Argento-inspired clones. Both of them feel very much like a producer said, hey, we'll fund this if you can make a movie kind of like an Argento Giallo, because it'll be relatively cheap, and we'll be able to rake in some money. And both of them are good. They stand on their own 2 feet. Black Belly of the Tarantula, it feels a little bit like The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Obviously, they are very, very different. But then this movie feels a bit like Bird with the Crystal Plumage and The Cat of Nine Tails, especially because the main character is blind, and one of the first scenes is them overhearing a conversation with someone who is a part of this conspiracy, and then them trying to solve it and all of the obstacles that they have to go through being blind, as well as the police not really believing them and what they have to say. But yeah, so this is I will say it's not obviously it's not quite A tier, but it is very enjoyable. There are a few moments in the movie that are really, really cheap with when you later on when you see the cat attacking people, because at first you don't know what's going on. The first kill is a girl is given this shawl, and she goes to open up a basket in a changing room, and all of a sudden she just dies. And the way it's shot, the way it's edited, it does a weird stuttering effect where it's just her falling back numerous times, and then the other girl's coming in and finding her dead body, and it doing that crazy whoop whoop crash zoom thing over and over again on the dead body. And yeah, it's well, she must have been murdered, but there's no sign that she was murdered, and she appears to have died naturally. But what are these scratches, and what's going on with the basket? And as the movie goes along, we find out that it has something to do with a cat. And you're okay, well, how can a cat kill someone? And so, like Black Belly of the Tarantula, this movie does something very interesting with animals and how those are related to the killings. And the other thing that I find is so interesting about this movie is it just reminds me of really good 20th century style murder mysteries. And this kind of goes back to Edgar Allan Poe and many others. It always makes me think of Poe in the Murders in the Rue Morgue, which I probably not saying that exactly correctly. There's probably a little bit of a French flavor to it, but how that book, or that story, utilizes an animal for the murders, and there's a handful, well, there's a lot actually. There's a lot of murder mysteries in the 20th century that found very creative ways to do murders, and especially to do murders on behalf of someone, but they're staged in a way where it's like, well, I wasn't there, it can't be me. And so yeah, kudos to this movie for finding another creative way to do it. How accurate is it? I doubt people would be dying instantly, but it's still very cool how it does it. But yeah, so it's not entirely perfect, but I guess for the continuity of the movie, I guess it works, which is good enough in a lot of these things. As long as the movie is consistent to itself, most people will give it a pass. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this movie. I do think it should be checked out by more people. I think there has been a recent restoration for it. Cauldron. I'm actually unfamiliar with them, but I've seen in some circles that it is out of print. But hey, if it's not, hop on that. I might have, yeah, like I said, I might have to get it myself if it is a U.S. release. I'll have to do more research when I get off. But yeah, oh, here it is on Amazon. Gosh, see, that's the thing. It's like $38.98. It says right here, and like that's a lot. That's a lot for one movie. I also really liked A Quiet Place to Kill by Elio Petri, but that's also like over $35 on Amazon. I'm like, come on, you're really pushing it. Like, not even Arrow movies are that much, or even Criterion movies are that much. But you know what? They probably, I don't know much about Cauldron, but they probably have to price it that way in order to help stay afloat. Oh, this is from 2021. Okay, so this is not newer. I thought there was one that had come out very, very recently, but if you know, oh, is this it? Oh, this one's, well, this is just the same thing. It's just on their website. Oh, and it's $21.99, but it's on sale right now for $14.99. Let's go. I might have to grab this right now. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say about the movie. It's really good. Anthony Steffen is really, really good in this. Very convincing as a blind man. He doesn't overact. He doesn't chew the scenery like he did before. He's a good character to get behind. The investigation is pretty good. In terms of the mystery, it's not impossible to guess what's going on, but another thing that's worth pointing out is this also is one of those Giallo films that kind of takes place in the fashion world. It's not totally in it like Blood and Black Lace is, but it's in the periphery. It's there. So yeah, it does have a lot of very interesting Giallo tropes that it mixes in. And yeah, I think it should be seen by more people. So let's do it. Yeah, that's really all I've got to say. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I know if I rewatch it again, I actually watched it like 1.5 times. I watched it last night, but it was like 6 a.m. It was coming upon like morning, and so I went to sleep for a few hours, woke up, and did some editing, and then rewatched it. And I didn't end up finishing it, but I was like, all right, I remember how it ends. But yeah, I felt like I did need to watch it again just so I could get my thoughts a little clearer. But I'll probably watch this again, but I'll wait until I get that Blu-ray. That'll be fun. And like I said, I might actually have to change things up and actually give this a Jolly Tally. And if I don't do it first and foremost in my 1972 stretch, just because I'm already really like in a tight schedule to get everything done before Halloween, it might be afterwards. I think next year I'm going to try and give some other Giallo films that I've already passed. I think I'm going to go back and give some Jolly Tallies, because there's several that I would like to. Amok, I think, absolutely deserves one. This movie deserves one. And Deadly Sweet, I would love to give one to as well. Anyways, I'm getting off. But hey, I made this one short. So anyways, what are your thoughts on Crimes of the Black Cat? Gosh, there are so many Giallo films that have to do with cats and black cats in the title. And so this one I did... when I was looking it up to try and find it, I did accidentally look up Seven Deaths in the Cat's Eye, and then I was like, wait, no, that's 1970, like 3 or 4. I'm like, no, it's a different one. And then I'm like, Crimes of the Black Cat, that's it. All these titles. And I guess this is worth mentioning if you haven't seen it. There's no ties to Edgar Allan Poe's The Black Cat, as far as I could tell. That's only worth mentioning because there are a handful of Italian horror and Giallo movies that are Fulci's The Black Cat, and Sergio Martino's Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. And I think there might be some others as well, but I just haven't seen them yet, so I can't speak on them. But anyways, yes, what are your thoughts on Crimes of the Black Cat? I hope I've actually, if you haven't seen it, I hope I've convinced you to check it out. Like I said, it's not amazing, but it reminds me of Black Belly of the Tarantula in terms of how well I felt that movie did at cloning the success of an Argento type Giallo film. And it does kind of feel like an Argento Giallo film, but there are many things in it that are like, well, that's very different. But, and do I think this is as good as Black Belly of the Tarantula? No, but still worth checking out. The kills are not too great, but that gimmick with the cat is pretty cool. There's a moment where all of a sudden it shows the cat attacking people, and I don't even know how they did this effect, but it's so fake looking, but it's also just incredible. There's some things in Giallo that it's like, it's so fake, but it's like, wow, that's cool. Also, oh my gosh, I'm glad I remember this because I didn't rewatch the finale, but this was something that I noticed. Holy crap. There was a graphic kill. The final kill was so graphic, and it's not like it's necessarily, one of the most graphic kills in Giallo ever, but I did not expect that. It felt like they saved the budget for this kill. And it involves a killer with a straight razor slashing a woman in a shower. So there's a little bit of like Psycho nods in it, but oh my God, you're seeing like, it kind of reminds me of the New York Ripper with like how graphic it is with showing the chest being mutilated. Yeah, that actually took me aback. I remember watching it just thinking like, okay, cool, we're getting a final kill. Oh wow, there's only like 8 minutes left in this movie. And I was like, oh my, whoa. And I read that last kill, I was just like, like that was awesome. Cool. And that happens several times in Giallo movies where it's like every kill before that was kind of just, and then the last one, they're like, okay, now we spend the budget. Now we go hard. Because you know what? They'll remember the ending more so than they'll remember the beginning. If you start strong and then you finish weak, people will think that was just a bad movie. The beginning was cool, but if you can finish strong, people will be like, all right, that was a pretty good movie. So, yeah. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on Crimes of the Black Cat if you've seen it. But check it out if you have not. And other than that, we'll see if I do a Jolly Tally for it. Let me know if you would be interested in that in the future. Other than that, this is Tanner Leeser for The King and Giallo, and nothing else. I'll see you next time.
I didn't serve that table. Anyway, they're gone.
Impossible.
Well, they could easily have
left
left by the service
having an argument.
agents.
I'm sorry.
Get the hell out of here!